Hey everyone, welcome to our next episode of the Brave Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jena Rodriguez, and I am your business brave and visibility strategist, helping entrepreneurs, helping coaches and consultants really master their brave and their visibility in order to ultimately make more money in their business and cross those six-figure milestones and beyond that you guys desire. So today I have an amazing guest, Janet. How are you, Janet? Welcome aboard.
I'm great. Thank you so much for being here. You know, we've known each other for years, and I'm just thrilled to be able to be here and talk to you and talk to your listeners.
Yeah, me too. I'm just really excited. Yeah, that's correct. We met in Austin, and then I was on your show, and now we are on mine, and it's great because we just really get to share your story this time. And so why don't you take a second and just introduce who you are to the world? And I love your title, so let's start there.
Yeah. So my title is I am the BS-to-Brilliance Master. And
Yes.
I'm a very senior business coach, 23 years. I'm a speaker and an author. I have a book, Where'd My Confidence Go and How Do I Get It Back? But the BS Brilliance Master is the most important thing, because who I am is that we're all brilliant. And there's BS that we tell ourselves that's in our way. And this so speaks to your brave thing, because it does take bravery to look. But when you look and you get that BS out of the way, the brilliance that is innate in us shines. And you know, mine along with yours really goal in life is to empower women to be the most brilliant expression of themselves.
Yeah, it really is our mission, right? Is to empower and lift people up. And the truth is, you know, at least for me, I can offer you the inspiration, I can offer you strategy, I can offer you guidance and insight, and yet you still have to choose it. And do you find that with the women that you work with?
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting. Even if I just go through my day up until now, it's like, you know, people sometimes want the answer. And I think, obviously I'm an author, so I want people to read my book. But we learn things from books, but we want an answer. But the answer isn't going to be the solution. It's the action and putting it into practice that makes the difference. And I think, one, that when people discover it, that's why coaching is so valuable. It's better for them. It's like taking things from the back of their head into the front.
Yeah.
And then second, it takes something. It really does take something. And I know you can speak to this a lot, for people to go, oh, wow, that's not comfortable for me. And now we can put that in practice.
Yeah. And I think that, that's definitely a brave master, which is what I call people, entrepreneurs, and is being willing to step into that uncomfortable. And I think it's also the unfamiliar, you know, it's all the uns, the unknowns, the unfamiliar, the uncomfortables. And so what has been kind of the most uncomfortable thing you've had to step into along your journey?
Oh my God, how
many? At
least one of them. At least one of them. There's so many.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think I'll go all the way back to when I became a coach. So I was a registered nurse. I took care of preemies, neonatal intensive care for 21 years. And then I went to Coach University in the early days before people knew what coaching was, in 95 and 96. And then I became a program leader for Landmark Education, Landmark Worldwide. Well, then as I went through the ranks, you know, being trained by really senior people, when you've been very successful, let me tell you.
Yes.
You know, when you got somebody in the back of the room, you're leading something and you're in the front and there's 150 people and they're going, you know, looking up at the sky like you're an idiot, and not letting that take you out.
Yeah.
And knowing that what they're doing is actually for you, because it really was for me, and what it takes to be trained and developed. And I think that's something, you know, given the entrepreneurial area, when people have been in careers and they become entrepreneurs, and it's like, well, I was really successful at this, and now I don't know my rear from anything, you know?
Right.
And that's been my experience. And then there's been different times, you know, my first TEDx, I was scared to death again.
Sure.
So I think it's a series for me of having to go past what I know I'm successful at, what I'm good at, and then going, okay, just jump. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Right. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's that's a practical tool, right? That's a practical way to step forward and be brave and get on the TEDx stage and, and do whatever's next. And I'm so committed to helping people, especially women, like really start to give themselves permission to have that. I think that's part of the problem out there, is that we're not even allowing the space for what's next. And so have you experienced that in your own journey? Or, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it in people you've worked with, but what does that show up as?
Yeah, I've seen it with people that I've worked with, but I still deal with it. I mean, I'm moving into adding something or expanding something in my business in terms of corporate training, which takes me back to my landmark roots. And I'm really good and I love that, but it's like, oh, now what is the mechanism that I'm going to get it? And I literally said to my coach yesterday, do you think I'm nuts to do this?
And you're like, yes, keep going.
Yeah. Well, I might think you're nuts, but just doing something new, but it does seem like that.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I was with my coach as well this last weekend. And I guess that's why I brought up the permission, is I'm guilty of it too, and it's not the lack of willingness to give myself permission. It's not even knowing that I need to, like, it's almost like you said, hidden from our view. And sometimes we need that external support, coach, mentor, someone, or this podcast to say, yes, you can be nuts. Yes, you can say yes to this new direction or this new way of being in your life or your business, because it's meant to like shift you into the next chapter. And it's just an opening for women to, and others. I mean, I don't just have women audience here. However, it's just a space for people to walk into. Yet what I find is they still don't. And I'm like, that's what I want to get under, is like, why are we not doing it? Why are we not stepping forward? And like you just said, ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? What are some other like practical things that you do for yourself that helps you like really step into the nuts or step into the, uncomfortable or whatever it is, right? Yeah.
The thing that what you said, let me tie that into, because this is part of what we do, is, if I can't discover it on my own, and I'm pretty good at it since I've been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
But I have 3 coaches,
Amen.
The more you got in different areas, the better.
Right.
Is that I'll have a conversation, but what I'm always looking for is, when you created the idea, it was a great idea, but somewhere along the route, I got stopped.
Yes.
So if I can look, and this is, for anybody, if I were going to coach somebody, I'd say, look, somewhere along the route, the idea started being bad, you started getting afraid. So I love the brave. It's like you started getting fearful, or you started gathering evidence for why this was nuts or a bad idea. You got to go back there. You got to get to the source conversation, because it was literally something you said to yourself, and then you started looking through the view and finding the evidence for whatever it is you said to yourself.
That's right. Yeah.
So practically speaking, if you can get to what did I say to myself, and then you can alter it, because you made that up, so make something else up.
Yeah, I love that. I talk like that, my mentor, and I have a couple, we talk about the fiction, right, that we create, right? And what is the fiction versus the facts? Because if we live in fiction, we better be making it up so it serves us and gets us to where we want to go, or we're living in the victim fiction, and then that's not getting us anywhere near where we really want to go. So, yeah. So speak to the, it sounds like you want to say something. So
I just was going to say, I always say, our internal dialogue of things that we talk to ourselves is rarely a cheerleader going, yeah, go for it. They're going, oh, that was done. That was done. And then you listen to it.
Yeah.
The old adage of the, good good and the bad on your shoulders.
Yes, right. Oh yeah, completely. Yeah, it's like which one's going to speak louder, right? And which one are you going to follow?
Exactly.
So very good. So yeah, so what I was just thinking was, what is the conversation for you around like the victim mentality, or the, falling into that victim trap? Like how do you speak to that in your work with people?
Well, I think that's one, it's a habit.
Yes, for real.
It's simply a habit. And so I am also trained as a CIQ, Conversational Intelligence Coach. And so I use the neuroscience of communication and coaching all the time. It's literally revolutionized my coaching and what is available for people. So this whole world of brain patterns. So I don't want to get too deep into it, but your brain gets hooked into something and you have a brain pattern, and here you go. It's like an electrical current.
Right.
If you're somebody, and this is not, some people do tend to go more into the victim mentality. You want to consider that it's simply a brain pattern that you've allowed to go on for a long time, and you would allow to go on for a long time until you interrupt it.
That's right.
If you're being a victim of something, there is a reason. You may not like what I'm about to say, but there is a reason that you stay in that mentality. And it's almost always because you have not seen what that way of thinking is costing you in your experience and your expression and your entrepreneurial journey. And when you get that, it's like, wow, is it really worth it?
That's right.
I'm interested in, how do I break a brain pattern and create a new one?
Yeah.
Which it takes time, but it's simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I spent the first half of my life, or I would say majority of my life until probably the last 10 years or so, really in that habit, not knowing any better, but knowing there was something else. Like I've been in transformational work and things like that for a long time. Probably partly to get like stop the circumstances outside of me from being the way they were. But knowing there was a better way, knowing there's something else I need to learn, just not knowing exactly what it was. But I remember the pattern, like I remember the habit, and how I've, not to say that I don't fall into that habit a little bit once in a while, like, right. But it's an awareness, and it's and then you have the steps to pull yourself out, or what have you. And so have you experienced that in your life, where you've been the victim or been the one to put your work into practice, right? I'm like,
oh my God, so many times.
A stupid question.
Yeah, it's like, really? Okay.
Yeah, well, you're like, for sure.
I'll tell you one of the most impactful recent, so this is about a year ago. I'm one of 5 kids, and I'm number 2. We're spread out throughout the U.S. And I have had a complaint of, this one thinks bad of me, that one's in charge, they talk about me, what are they doing? And it's been, there is a whole drama. And I have a
whole script.
whole lifetime of this evidence.
Yes.
So we had a really big kind of blow up last year. And I worked with one of my coaches to very deeply get the whole thread. What was the thread? When did it start?
Right.
And then what if it weren't that way? So if you ask the question, what if it isn't that way? And maybe if I could get over and look from their viewpoint, maybe it would look differently. And I did that work, and I cleaned it up with every single one of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot when you have 5 kids that are adults. And it was, took a while.
Good for you though.
But it really was revolutionary, and it altered things for me. And what's so interesting is with one of my siblings, who every time I would say something, this sibling would say something back, and I would hear it as you're putting me down again, you think you're better than me. And then switching it, I got, oh my God, they're just trying to contribute to me. And I started saying thank you. and it altered everything.
Yeah, it is. It's the, like, which fiction are we listening to? Which facts and fiction are we actually paying attention to? And I love that. And thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that was hard and, just a process, right, to go through after all these years. And yet it completely can shift the relationships and the love and the experiences we have. So I honor that for sure in what you shared there. And so what would you say to someone so a lot of my audience here is obviously entrepreneurs, and they're looking to be more brave, and they're looking to be obviously more self-aware or, inspired from your own story and your own, path along the way. What would you say to them about where they are and kind of like how to get to where they want to go?
Well, one is, you brought it up earlier about giving yourself, I don't remember the word. Permission. I would say give yourself grace and give yourself room. One of the things I think is really, social media has so many positive and negative impacts, but one of the negative impacts when you're an entrepreneur and you're watching everyone else around you, and in social media, of course, they're presenting whatever facade that they want to present.
Yep.
And you're looking at them and you're going, oh my God, I'll never get there. What's wrong with me? There's too much to do. If you simply shift that and you go, wow, I really admire Jena. I wonder, turn where you're beating yourself up into a question. I wonder what she's doing that I could replicate.
Right.
I wonder where my gaps are. And knowing you cannot develop yourself, especially those of us who, had one career and then go into an entrepreneurial career. It's a little different when you're a millennial and this has been your only career. Then you kind of expect yourself to have to earn your way and learn. But when you've been one place, now you're taking an entrepreneurial journey. I promise you, there are lots of gaps.
Yeah.
But take on what are the gaps? And what is the gap that if I just go to work on that one gap and develop myself in that will make a difference? And then you take on another one.
Yeah, I love that. And I do appreciate that conversation around the social media. Even myself, I do my best. One of my commitments is transparency, and like, you can ask me anything and I'll tell you what's up for me, whether good or bad or ugly or whatever, because I feel like that's what sometimes is missing is that people look over there and think they've got it all figured out, and then yet they're struggling internally, and that's not shared. I do that a lot in my Facebook group, is just like, this is what my day looks like. I was dealing with this yesterday, and so I think it's so important wherever you or someone listening might be, and that's why I do the show and this podcast, is to create a sense of transparency about, this is the journey we have to go on. These are the practices we actually have to walk in, and it's not just like one day I'm here and 10 years later I'm there. It's like, you, especially 20 years and a career before. I was in corporate America. Entrepreneur is not what I jumped into first. And I'm like, had to figure it out, and I think that's why I do this show. I want people to get the inside, under the hood view of just what it takes, what you're going to have to honor in yourself, what you're going to have to overcome in yourself, because it's not outside of you, right? It's like, there's things that are going to happen, but you have to control you. You have to change you if you want to look like the pictures on Instagram, and
we can use what we see, or even if you go to a mastermind or you go work with your coach and you have this hierarchical better than, less than view, or competitive view, in our industry and the coaching in general, we do totally different kind of things, but even if I'm working with somebody who does the same kind of thing, there's, people like, well, it's so competitive. So what?
Yeah.
I don't have that many hours in a day. I want you to succeed. I have I should share this with you. It's called the Unapologetic Powerhouse Women Manifesto. And one of them is, one of them is I'm powerful. And what powerful is to me is I celebrate others' success as my own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that.
So it's like if you stop having gaps, then you've stopped growing.
Mm-hmm.
And then frankly, life is boring.
Yeah. I'm not actually aspiring for that. I'm not aspiring for the no gap life.
It's like, and it's really not even about money. I think one of my sayings is feel fast, feel big, fail forward, or in other words, learn and move on. And
that's right.
I've had so many failures in total. In the 3 big business failures I had, I've lost $200,000, which is not pocket change.
Nope.
But you know what? I learned so many things. Not that I would say, oh, gee, I want to go throw away money. I learned so many things. And I think that helped me develop myself at a more rapid pace. And you said being open about it. Yeah, I've lost money. I've failed 6 ways to Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you've heard my story, and hopefully everybody on this show's eventually heard my story from bankrupt to, Brave Master. So yeah, that feeling of failure and fail fast, and I think it is, how do you respond to the ebbs and flows of your life or business? And inside the response is mindset. And it's like, how do you look at that and how do you hold it? And what are you going to do with it? What are you going to learn from it? I just did a Facebook Live about win or learn. This is not a place to win, back up, sit down and go somewhere else so that you can be comfortable. This is like, what can you learn from it? And I think that's, I love your kind of, what is it called? Say it again. The
Unapologetic Powerhouse Manifesto.
Manifesto. I love that word. But definitely unapologetic. I think that's what people need to put in front of them at all times, and be willing to step into it. And so what would you say is I'm just curious, what would you say is your next Brave? What's coming up for you next?
Well, this whole thing about taking, I've done a lot of training if you take all my 23 years Landmark, but I've also, I write design workshops, and I've done a lot of those, my own. Gotcha. And then I've started taking them in the past year into small companies. I love doing that. If I stand inside of what I'm out to accomplish with empowering people, that's a bigger hammer, and I like big hammers.
Yeah.
So it is actually getting into companies and marketing that service, communication, advanced communications strategies and skills, and helping the people in a company be able to be more efficient, get along better, deal with conflict positively. And it's, for me, going out into that marketplace, which is not familiar to me.
Yeah. I was going to say, what's the uncomfortable or what's the unfamiliar?
Yeah. How do I get to the people, and how do I have them really buy my service?
Yeah.
And that's
and you're like, I don't know, right? But you're going to do it anyway, which I think is what a Brave Master is all about, is looking ahead and going, this is what I want, right? This is what I desire. And then, and screw the unfamiliar, screw the uncomfortable, and just do it anyway and figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to do. And I'll support you any way I can.
Oh, great. Yeah. I mean, it's like, especially small, medium-sized companies. I don't know if I'm wanting to necessarily get in the whole big company, but in the small and medium-sized companies, you can make such a big difference. I did one in a company in Oregon with someone else, Kim Carpenter and I did this, and it's just making such a huge difference in the company as they grow, and they're just poised for explosive growth, and it's fulfilling for me.
Yeah, for sure.
And it makes a difference for them as human beings and in their business.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Well, congratulations. I'm glad. Thanks for sharing your next Brave. Cause I wherever we can, I love what you said about having the big hammer. It's like, how can we make the biggest impact? Right. and, you know, speed this along. And yeah, it's your next thing. It's your next brave thing to do. So I can appreciate that.
What's your next brave? Can I turn it on?
Oh yeah, you can ask. Actually, I'm simplifying my business in a way. I actually just kind of made these decisions, you know, recently. And I've launched this year the Brave Speaker program, which is all about the fastest path to cash and clients. Like, that's the point of it. And it's about visibility and things like that. And I've thrown everything I could possibly think of into that course. And I just saw how I love working with people one-on-one, but I'm one person.
That's right.
And so my goal is to impact millions of people and millions of coaches, consultants, people that are, you know, change agents and things like that. And I found, you know, I was lacking in a method, in a way to do that. So between this program, and I still love my masterminds, obviously for the high level, but I want that to really get into people's world in a much bigger way. And I'll be honest, this year's have been a journey. My brave has been basically willing to be judged, willing to, you know, they love me or hate me or don't like me, you know, all those judgments. And it's also what held me back for a while. And so I've really come to terms with that, and I'm committed to the mission and the, you know, reaching as many people as I can possibly reach. And for me to just put myself out there in a way that can, you know, people are going to either love it or hate it, and still do it anyway. Because, yeah, I felt like I was kind of hanging out in small zone, you know, like, I mean, I've been playing a bigger game every step of the way, but like, this is my next bigger game. And I really want to take it to the masses. And TEDx is actually on my radar as well. That's pretty scary.
Well, I'll speak to that, but I want to say something, because I think what you just created is one of the things, you know, back to an earlier question about, you know, how do people jump in? So one of the things that I see that stops people almost more than anything, is fear of judgment.
Yeah. What are people going to think?
What are people going to think? Or a different way, which is trying to please everybody.
Yes, completely.
So I always have you get this, and this is real. This isn't just made up. I want you to realize, can you control your thinking?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is no. And people go, yeah, I can. Really? Have you ever woke up in the middle of the night and all of a sudden you're having all these weird thoughts? How did that happen?
Yep.
Thoughts fly through our brains. You can't control it. You can control which ones I call it thoughting. Those are thoughts versus thinking. I grab that thought and start thinking it, right? So you're going to have thoughts no matter what. But so we've established you can't control your thoughts, right?
Yep.
Now,
lots of autopiloting.
Lots of autopilot. So if I can't control mine, how do you think I'm going to control someone else's?
That's right.
That's insane. So we act like, let me do something to control what they think.
That's right.
And we don't even have control over what we think, let alone what they think. So just give that up. Be the fullest expression of who you are.
Yeah.
Some people are going to love you. Some people aren't. Who cares? You have to go to bed with yourself at night. And that's the most important person.
Nice. I love that. And it's a reframe of simply being, because you cannot control it. I'm like, I love that. You're correct. You can barely control your own. So why put a job on yourself for the others, you know? And that is true. It really was like, and a willingness, like just a willingness for people to think what they're going to think, you know, because you can't control it. And still do you, and still do, you know, like stay committed to what impact you really do make.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing, you know, is to stay there. So yeah, thank you for that, actually.
You're welcome. So I wanted to go back to the TEDx. So I'm doing another TEDx. I'm doing TEDx Barton Springs Women in December, which I'm very excited about. And one is like, you know, for a speaker like you, like me, that's like the epitome, well, the TED stage, which is not easy to get on, but at TEDx, it's easy to get on. And one of the things that I did talking about gaps is I've been in front of probably 32,000 people over 23 years.
Right.
So it's not like, oh, Janet, you need to learn to speak. I'm a speaker. I know how to speak. But I thought this is a different animal. And one of the real opportunities, because a TEDx is a gift. You are giving a gift of an idea to the masses. Is I hired someone who's an award-winning producer, director, choreographer, and she's produced 4 TEDx's in New York. And I hired her to help me write it, to make sure I was, getting it out there in a way that would fulfill what I was out to and to fulfill TEDx's mission.
Right.
And in fact, I'm bringing her here. She's coming Friday, and we're doing a speaker salon, because even though I've had masters teach me how to speak, I'm like, why not get someone else to give me that? She also answers the question on how do you get into TEDx.
Yeah, of course.
So I think the biggest thing I would say to anyone that wants to get in TEDx, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. Hire somebody, hire somebody who knows what they're doing to write up your proposal, do your whatever they are requiring, and then to work with somebody, because it is such a profound opportunity to be on that. Even though it may be a small stage, it's a worldwide stage because it gets uploaded.
Yeah, it is. And it's a respected stage, and I love that. So thank you for that advice. I'll take it myself and when I'm ready, and certainly anyone listening, because it is an opportunity to have the ripple effect in the world in a much bigger way. So yeah, huge. Well, awesome. I love this conversation. Thank you again. I knew I know we'd have another great conversation, and this is definitely a great one. And so my question, number one, I want to make sure everybody can connect with you. So let's start there. What's the best way to connect?
Probably LinkedIn.
Okay.
LinkedIn, Janet Zaretsky, just my name, and it's Zaretsky, Jana, Janet. So probably there. My website, which is janetZaretsky.com. I make things really, really difficult.
So complicated. Right?
Yeah. So those are probably the best way. I'm also on Facebook too, but I think LinkedIn is
where you hang out. Yeah. And then you also had something to gift everyone. What was that all about?
Yeah. So I have what I call the confidence kit. So it has multi-parts to it, and it's you can get it at www.confidentwithnoapology.com, no spaces, and you can download that. And if anybody, since I mentioned my manifesto, it actually is downloadable on my Facebook, Janet Zaretsky Business.
Got it.
If anybody wants that, they can get that there.
Okay, great. We'll make note of that too. Excuse me. And so, okay, perfect. And we'll make sure all that's in show notes too, so everybody can click and go. Thank you for the gift, first of all, and just sharing I love the manifesto idea. I love those, so they can keep it right in front of them. So as we wrap up, what is, I kind of like to end with this question. If this was your last interview, there is no more TEDx, right? This was it. This was the last chance to share a message with the world. What would that message be?
It's funny you said that. It made me just move me. That you are whole and you are brilliant, and go out there and spread what you have to spread. Do the business you want to do. Be the fullest expression of who you are. Who buys it, and who doesn't. But trust yourself, because the world needs you.
I love that. And thank you for your vulnerability. Yes, it is. It's that passion that we have to help the world and help the people in it. And so thank you for being a gift to the world and sharing your brilliance. And I know we'll talk again soon. And I thank you so much, Janet. It's been really great to see you again. And to everyone listening, watching, please take a moment and really reflect on what you received from this message, from this, interview, and share with us what your feedback is and what your ahas are, and then take one simple action, whatever that is, that will move you to what you want, and not towards what you don't want. And until then, let's go get our brave on. See you on the next show.
Bye. Thanks.
You're welcome.